For a long time, Lois watched, crouched behind the sagging fence, in a pool of scummy water. They were landing, coming down in groups, landing on the roof of the city hall, and disappearing inside. They had wings, like giant insects of some kind. They flew and fluttered, and came to rest, and then crawled, crab fashion, sideways across the roof and into the building. He was sickened and fascinated. Cold night wind blew around him, and he shuddered. He was tired, dazed with shock. On the front steps of the city hall were men, standing here and there. Groups of men coming out of the building and halting for a moment before going in. Were there more of them? It didn't seem possible. What he saw descending from the black chasm weren't men. They were alien, from some other world, some other dimension.
Sliding through this slit, this break in the shell of the universe, entering through this gap, winged insects from another realm of being.
On the steps of the city hall, a group of men broke up. A few moved towards a waiting car. One of the remaining shapes started to re-enter the city hall. It changed its mind and turned to follow the others. Lois closed his eyes in horror. His senses reeled. He hung on tight, clutching at the sagging fence. The shape, the man shape, had abruptly fluttered up and flopped after the others. It flew to the sidewalk and came to rest among them. Pseudo-men, imitation men, insects with ability to disguise themselves as men, like other insects, familiar to Earth. Protective coloration, mimicry. Lois pulled himself away. He got slowly to his feet. It was night. The alley was totally dark. But maybe they could see in the dark. Maybe darkness made no difference to them. He left the alley cautiously and moved out onto the street. Men and women flowed past, but not so many now. At the bus stops stood waiting groups. A huge bus lumbered along the street, its lights flashing in the evening gloom. Lois moved forward. He pushed his way among those waiting, and when the bus halted, he boarded it and took a seat in the rear by the door. A moment later, the bus moved into life and rumbled down the street. Lois relaxed a little. He studied the people around him. Dulled, tired faces, people going home from work. Quite ordinary faces. None of them paid any attention to him. All sat quietly, sunk down in their seats, jiggling with the motion of the bus. The man sitting next to him unfolded a newspaper. He began to read the sports section, his lips moving. An ordinary man. Blue suit, tie, a businessman, or a salesman on his way home to his wife and family. Across the aisle, a young woman, perhaps 20, dark eyes and hair, a package on her lap, nylon and heels, red coat and white Angola sweater, gazing absently ahead of her. A high school boy in jeans and black jacket, with packages and parcels, her thick face dim with weariness. Ordinary people, the kind that rode the bus every evening, going home to their families, to dinner, going home with their minds dead.
Controlled, filmed over with the mask of an alien being that had appeared and taken possession of them, their town, their lives. Himself, too, except that he had happened to be deep in his cellar instead of in the store. Somehow he had been overlooked. They had missed him. Their control wasn't perfect, foolproof. Maybe there were others. Hope flickered in Lois. They weren't omnipotent. They had made a mistake, not got control of him. Their net, their field of control had passed over him. He had emerged from his cellar as he had gone down. Apparently, their power zone was limited. A few seats down the aisle, a man was watching him. Lois broke off his chain of thought. A slender man with dark hair and a small mustache, well-dressed, brown suit and shiny shoes, a book between his small hands. He was watching Lois, studying him intently. He turned quickly away. Lois tensed. One of them, or another they had missed. The man was watching him again. Small dark eyes, alive and clever. Shrewd, a man too shrewd for them. Or one of the things itself, an alien insect from beyond. The bus halted. An elderly man got on slowly and dropped his token into the box. He moved down the aisle and took a seat opposite Lois. The elderly man caught the sharp-eyed man's gaze. For a split second, something passed between them, a look rich with meaning. Lois got to his feet. The bus was moving. He ran to the door, one step down into the wall. He yanked the emergency door release. The rubber door swung open.
Hey, what the hell?
Lois squirmed through. The bus was slowing down. Houses on all sides, a residential district, lawns and tall apartment buildings behind him. The bright-eyed man had leaped up. The elderly man was also on his feet. They were coming after him. Lois leaped. He hit the pavement with terrific force and rolled against the curb. Pain lapped over him. Pain and a vast tide of blackness. Desperately, he fought it off. He struggled to his knees, then slid down again. The bus had stopped. People were getting off. Lois groped around. His fingers closed over something. A rock, lying in the gutter. He crawled to his feet, grunting with pain. A shape loomed before him. A man, the bright-eyed man with the book. Lois kicked. The man gasped and fell. Lois brought the rock down. The man screamed and tried to roll away.
Stop! For God's sake! Listen!
He struck again. A hideous crunching sound. The man's voice cut off and dissolved in a bubbling wail. Lois scrambled up and back. The others were there now, all around him. He ran, awkwardly, down the sidewalk, up the driveway. None of them followed him. They had stopped and were bending over the inert body of the man with the book, the bright-eyed man who had come after him. Had he made a mistake? But it was too late to worry about that. He had to get out, away from them, out of Pikeville, beyond the crack of darkness, the rent between their world and his.